I know what you're thinking. Scott, what are you trying to do? Just get more clicks, more views, and all that? Well, maybe, maybe not. I don't really care. But I'm interested in economics and business. And I listened to a series a while back that I just thought of recently that I thought I'd share with you about the porn industry and how it has collapsed upon itself. Oh, it's too warm in here. I'm going to turn this back up. Hopefully not too high because I don't want to mess up the sound. So here's how the porn industry is collapsing upon itself, and it has been. But at every single level, it has been completely deleterious to all the people involved, except for maybe one, and I'll get to that. Let's start with the professional porn industry. Whereas they used to have a much smaller market share, or a much smaller market, because the places that they would distribute their goods or services or their products, we would say, were taboo. And I don't know about you, but I don't want my car in front of one of those places, if you know what I mean. And so they would sell their products for a profitable margin. And since the internet has come about, the market share has expanded dramatically, but consequently it has driven their profit share and their market share down to a very tiny corner in the industry, to where they have to do customized stuff. And man, I got the wrong lane. Oh well, I don't care. I'm gonna stay in this lane. But it really distracts me when that happens. I totally derailed my thought process. So they're in a small corner market that costs a lot to the consumer comparatively, to where very few amount of people are buying their products. Furthermore, to those who were the actors and actresses, whereas they used to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps between $200,000 and $400,000 on average, now they're making like 55 grand a year, maybe. So a lot of them have left, but the problem is, and they had one case. In one particular case, this guy was not making what he wanted to make, so he decided to have a career change, and he got a degree and went to work. And the degree was not inexpensive, like any degree. And, well, it was found out that he had been in that industry, and he was terminated. Not only was he terminated, but he had very little prospect of ever being able to continue in his line of work, which happened to be a teacher. He wanted to go from a taboo industry to something more honorable, and teaching is an honorable. Everybody would agree teaching is an honorable thing in a school, okay? So, for whatever reason, people found out and he was canned because it was a hazard to the school to have him there. So now he spent whatever amount of money getting a degree that was completely useless to him. So now he has to find a third career change in a hope that it doesn't become a problem, his past doesn't become a problem. So any white-collar job that he would hopefully obtain, any little accusation, and he is at a huge disadvantage, right? Because jury and the judge are all going to be biased by his past, whether or not any accusation is true or not. And of course, men probably have a disadvantage to begin with. So it's been bad for business owners, investors. It's been bad for the employees because all of their wages have gone down. Now let's talk about the new industry, the internet porn industry, which has expanded greatly. Like a lot of things online, it has become monopolistic. The same people own all the major websites. Same people. So basically it's a monopoly. Just like Facebook is a monopoly for social media, YouTube is a monopoly for YouTube, for short video content stuff, has very little competition there. Google search has very little competition, and many other. Netflix, very little competition. I think Amazon's probably its biggest competition, but most people have both of them, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't really hurt them. So for them, they are the only ones that have largely benefited from their monopoly position. These people bought up everybody else that had, and they have a great stake in the market. They have a monopoly, so it's good for them. Now let's move to the the providers of content, amateurs, novices. Maybe they might make a few bucks. I don't know what they're. It's definitely not going to be hundreds of thousands. It might not even. It probably wouldn't even be $50,000-$60,000 a year. Maybe there's a couple of people like that. I don't know. But largely, for all of the people putting the content on it, maybe a little tiny percentage are making a meager or middle class income out of it. All the other people are uploading content that is owned by the website. So whatever you put up there is going to be up there forever, one way or another. And so if you decide someday that you want to have a career change, well, that could come back to haunt you as well. Not good. So it's not good for the investors and the professional, or the employees and the professional. It is good for the one monopoly that owns it all online. It's not good for anybody that wants to get into that line of work as a business, because they can't get the market share. It's already owned by the same people. It's not good for the providers. Now let's go to the consumers. As it's been found out, and especially in the last 10 years, this has been very deleterious to the consumers of this content, both psychologically and physiologically. The studies are coming up, and it's like an epidemic, okay? Whereas before, certain medical conditions may have shown up in certain people, and later in their life, these same medical conditions are showing up a lot earlier, like the 20s, or maybe even earlier. So physiologically, it's devastating in several ways. Psychologically, it's devastating, both because of the physiological consequences, but also without those physiological consequences, there's certain psychological hazards. So this whole industry has collapsed upon itself, where it is deleterious to every aspect of the industry from the bottom up, all except for the one group that has a monopoly on the whole thing. I thought you might like to know that. Just think twice before you get into that stuff, because someday it'll probably come back to haunt you.